Okay, so it's been a while since I've done some content on this channel. I obviously, if you look back on the channel's history very early on, we did a lot of town and city histories of towns and cities that I've lived in or I find interesting. I currently live on the outskirts of Wokingham. I actually work in Wokingham as well. It's in Berkshire. It's in the UK. It's to the west of London, between London and Reading. The name is Saxon in origin, but there are also Roman ruins and Iron Age ruins in the nearby area. There's a Roman road called the Devil's Highway, which runs to the south of the town and runs through the borough. And there have also been some Bronze and Iron Age finds found in the surrounding area of Wokingham. So the name is Saxon. It means home of Walker's people. He was a local early Saxon chieftain who came over after the collapse of the Roman Empire. But the town itself gains importance much later on in the Middle Ages. The town was granted rights to hold a market in 1219, and then the Bishop of Salisbury brought rights to hold 3 fairs a year from 1258. So the town is gaining in importance as a trading place from the early to mid 13th century. It's by the time of Queen Elizabeth I in the Tudor period that the town is quite elevated in status. It's granted a town charter in 1583 and also becomes a centre of the silk industry in the Tudor period in England. Also in the 14th to 16th centuries, the bell foundry, which there is a small museum, was making church and town bells. It became quite famous in the south of England. However, by the 1640s, the English Civil War has come along, and both sides, both parliamentarians, Roundheads or Cavaliers, Royalists, raid the town in the years between 1643 and 1644, which leaves 20% of the town buildings damaged or destroyed. It took until the next century for the local economy and the town to fully recover to pre-Civil War status. But following the Commonwealth, which is when Oliver Cromwell and Parliament are in charge, the restoration of King Charles II, from 1661 until 1821, the practice of bull baiting is quite popular in the town, held on the 27th of December every year in that period. Now, obviously, the practice is outlandish and barbaric and has actually now been banned by Parliament. Not long after it stopped in 1821 in the town itself, it was banned the following decade. But what would happen after the bulls had been baited by dogs and killed? Local butchers would come in and distribute the meat and leather to poorer people in the town, and that practice of distributing the meat and leather of 2 bulls that were taken to the abattoir to poor people continued until the 1830s. So that was their version of giving out arms to the poor. It is a barbaric practice, but it was quite famous for having this practice for a very long time. Also, in 1723, Wokingham was important for a national act of Parliament called the Black Acts, which were introduced by Parliament in response to a local gang of highwaymen known as the Wokingham Blacks. They were highwaymen, they were bandits. There were 29 in total that were ended up being captured by the local regiment following a shootout in the neighbouring town of Bracknell, somewhere in the local Wokingham Bracknell area. And what they would do is they would go into the coal bunkers of people's houses or charcoal and get the soot and cover their faces, and then wear masks as well. So the wording of the act is very interesting. It outlaws the wearing of a face mask or to darken one's face to disguise one's identity, which basically laws like that continue today. And this act has never been repealed, but it has been superseded in Acts of Parliament passed by the UK Parliament. But it is very interesting that an Act of Parliament was introduced because of a local gang of highwaymen who were terrorising the local area. Bearing in mind, Windsor Castle's not that far away, and we're on the main roads to London as well, one of the main roads to London, so not surprising that Parliament was to act so quickly on an act of banditry and a band of ruffians, as it was termed in the local newspapers at the time, and in the local pamphlets that were handed out and plastered around local towns. The Windsor Castle is up the road, so royal areas are nearby. It's going to get a response. Now, the railway first comes to the town in 1856. The railway station is first opened. It is redeveloped in 1973 and most recently in 2013. Redevelopments have been done to the train station. Alexander Pope, a famous literary figure, always suffered from poor health. I've got to do a video on Alexander Pope. He wrote the Ballad of Molly Mag while staying at the old Rose Inn. There's a new Rose Inn now. Site has changed. That basically, he based the character of Molly Mag on the landlord's daughter and barmaid whilst sheltering from a storm at the old Rose Inn with some friends. and he had obviously very poor health throughout his life. So not a bad option to stay in the pub, have a pint, and chat up a barmaid. Basically it. Lars Ayers, his 2019 novel Nitchista and the Burbs, set in the town of Wokingham, and the 1971 film See No Evil was filmed in and around in town, including at the original train station, footage in and around the town. And finally, the ITV TV series Primeval scenes were shot at the Red Lion pub in the town. So if you are a fan of the TV show Primeval, a lot of the sequences were shot locally in the town centre. So there's a brief history of Wokingham in Berkshire in the UK. There are other surrounding settlements that are also very, very historical. And as I say, while the name is in Saxon in origin, there are Roman and Iron Age finds that have turned up. And there is a Roman road that runs to the south, a couple of miles to the south of the town, called the Devil's Highway, which runs from London to Silchester, and sections of it have been unearthed, and sections of it are now the modern road network as well. And you can see the old Roman ditches, and you will find bits and pieces in the ground. But yes, very interesting place. There's some very interesting historical buildings nearby, and Wokingham does have a lot of importance. As I say, being a market town, a meeting place, a railway junction town. Many interesting people have come through Wokingham over the years, including Alexander Pope, who wrote The Ballad of Molly Mag while staying in the town. So there we go. Thank you very, very much for watching. Please place your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll have some more historical videos for towns, villages, and cities that I've visited, been to, lived in, and worked in for you guys very, very soon.